Hello, and thank you for joining today's call. I'm John Nicholas, CFO here at Treasury Today Group, and a warm welcome to today's webinar, which is all about digital treasury transformation. The need for real-time cash visibility demands centralized payment hubs, real-time payment execution with tracking and new payment platforms. Real-time working capital efficiency demands all of this, plus more efficient multi-bank management. For Treasury, this means a crash course in digital disruption, new connectivity options across banking, payments, and supply chains, security best practices, fraud prevention, and data analytics. In today's webinar, Marcus Hughes, Head of Strategic Business Development at Bottomline Technologies, and Patrick Verspecht, Group Treasurer of a US company, Trillium Flow Technologies, based in France, will share their views and analysis on how the latest technology and innovation in these areas can help towards an easier path to digital transformation in much shorter timescales than previously possible. With a combined total of 70 years industry experience, Marcus and Patrick are ideally placed to share their insights on how these advancements are shaping the role of treasurers to become key directors of business strategy, thanks to real-time, consolidated insight and automation. So without further ado, I would now like to invite Marcus and Patrick to take us through today's agenda.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to work with you again. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar, An Easier Path to Digital Treasury Transformation. For those of you who don't know Bottomline, we provide cloud-based solutions which help businesses and banks to pay and get paid and to manage their cash more efficiently. I'm delighted to be joined by my friend and Bottomline customer, Patrick Verspecht. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you, Marcus. It's really a pleasure to be here with you and Treasury today.
I thought I'd begin with a few headlines from Patrick's very impressive resume. I'm not sure how he finds enough hours in each day, but Patrick holds an impressive number of senior posts in prestigious trade associations. He's a board member and secretary of the Belgian Association of Corporate Treasurers, also a member of the Luxembourg Association of Corporate Treasurers. At the European Association of Corporate Treasurers, Patrick is a coordinator of the FinTech work group, and is also the Belgian representative at the International Group of Treasury Associations. Last but not least, I'm delighted to say that Patrick has chosen Bottomline's cloud-based payments and cash management platform, not just once, but twice, in two different Treasury roles. This track record certainly suggests to me, for one, that Patrick must have excellent judgment when it comes to selecting payments and cash management solutions. But I would say that, wouldn't I, of course? So let's hear how Patrick has solved the pain points which many treasurers face today. In today's webinar, we're going to share with you how a treasurer can achieve a digital transformation more quickly, more easily, and more cost-effectively than has been possible historically. We really think this case study will be relevant to many large corporates as well as mid-sized corporates. So Patrick, my first question is about the role of the treasurer. How has the treasurer's role changed in recent years, and especially in terms of treasurers using technology to get the job done better and faster?
For sure, Marcus. The payment industry is going through a period of unprecedented change. I would say that a range of factors are driving this fast-moving environment. As an example, as few examples, new regulation, new payment instruments, new payment schemes and formats, as well as, of course, new technology. Increasingly, the treasurer is expected to do more with less, maybe nothing new, but more and more, while the size of treasury teams is getting obviously smaller and smaller. So it's not possible now in our day-to-day work as a treasurer to cope without technology tools to help us. With all those changes, a treasurer faces a constant series of projects to automate and improve processes, typically with fewer and fewer human resources. The treasurer is responsible for managing the project, implementation, testing, resources, timelines, and then go live. It's perhaps surprising to say that today this focus on project has expanded to become sometimes almost 50% of our Treasury duties. Treasury projects can be an absolute nightmare, believe me. In some cases, simply too long, too expensive, and even though a project has a good return on investment on paper, as many of you know, it's probably it's often too long a time lapse before we can demonstrate a proper ROI. If the project is successful, the role, of course, the role of the treasurer can expand and become obviously more interesting and strategic. In this way, the board sees the added value of the treasurer, who can then get more directly involved in the business decision making by delivering accurate, reliable, and up-to-date information, which provides some valuable insight, I would say. So, thanks to technology, the treasurer's role can become more strategic, while many operational matters can be automated. This process gives back time to the treasury team to focus more on strategic matters. This enhances the value of the treasurer and allows him or her more time to contribute strategically to the big picture of running the business.
Okay, thanks for that, Patrick. I'm going to launch the first poll question now, if I may. So the first question is, what is the single, and I emphasize the word single, most important factor in any digital treasury transformation decision? And you have a few options, and I'd like you just to tick one box, please. Budget, time to implement, feature functionality, multi-bank solution, fully automated and real-time, integrated with your TMS and or ERP, security, and the platform addresses cyber fraud. So if you could just take a few minutes to have a think about that, provide your response, and we'll cover the results a little bit later. Thanks very much. Back to you, Patrick.
So yes, going back to our conversation, Patrick, how do you suggest other treasurers should go about choosing the technology tools to solve Treasury's pain points and to make payments and cash management projects more efficient, and of course to make sure money is being well spent?
Well, for me, and it's not going to be a surprise for the treasurers who are on the attendees, there are just too many vendors on the market. They all claim to have the best solution to make your life easier. They all promise you automation, real-time visibility, and efficient payment management. But as I know, projects have a bad habit of taking a very long time, high head count, and too much money spent. I never see in the past basically IT project which was under budgeted. What a treasury really needs is cost effectiveness, reliability, and speed to go live. I do not want to spend 18 months on a project and at the end just to use 10 or 50% of a giant monster new TMS system. The treasurer needs quick wins, I think, and rapid results. And well, so far I have to admit that I found that very few vendors are able to achieve this. Now I can say that with Bottomline, I got what I needed: a cost-effective solution, again cost effectiveness, able to show a quick return, and I was able to get real benefits out of it. And believe me, if my end users are happy, my boss is happy, and which means obviously I'm happy too. So a treasurer needs to be able, for me, to quickly demonstrate that a project is delivering value. My personal experience of implementing the Bottomline solution was extremely positive. We were in fact in a production within less than a month after starting from scratch. So very quickly, we were live and receiving prior day and real-time statements from our main banks.
Thank you, Patrick. And can you tell us how you achieved this impressive speed in achieving go live so efficiently?
Well, as Marcus mentioned, this is my second project within a 2-year time frame. So I already knew the people at the Bottomline. I knew it was urgent, so we got on a call. I explained what we wanted and why it was urgent. We agreed very quickly on the terms of the contract. Very important is as well as the Bottomline approach was quite simply to divide the implementation project into small, very manageable steps. Another big difference compared to more conventional projects was that we decided not to join SWIFT for now. That may come later in the program at a time that we will choose. Basically, we wanted to have, in fact, the advantage of the SWIFT global reach and multi-bank connectivity, but not the complexity of joining SWIFT at this stage.
So what did you do to solve this situation?
Well, we found an easier and quicker way to get started. In fact, instead of joining SWIFT, we just use Bottomline BICS as a service. That avoids basically, any worries about this famous SWIFT CSP. CSP, I think it means Customer Security Program, or any in-house expertise, which we don't have at this time. Bottomline has its own BIC or SWIFT address, which belongs to one of their entity, which is a regulated entity. I think the name is Bottomline Payment Services Limited. This entity has joined SWIFT apparently as a supervised financial institution, and it is then regulated by the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK, which means that this sets Bottomline apart from many fintech or TMS firms. But more important, this special status means that Bottomline can send and receive SWIFT messages on behalf of customers, such as corporates or other asset managers or other type of the business. And the corporate, in fact, does not need to go through the hassle of joining SWIFT, but can still connect securely with any bank using Bottomline's BIC. And for our corporate, well, it means that a treasury team can very quickly view balances and transactions at their bank on an easy-to-use platform. They can also allow users working outside treasury to view the statements, like the accounting team, relevant to their line of a business or to their region. So it's exactly what we wanted to have, and it's exactly what we got thanks to the solution proposed by Bottomline.
Great, that's right. So the way this works is that the customer instructs its bank to send via SWIFT to Bottomline SWIFT address or BIC MT940s, those are prior day statements, and MT942s, that is interim updates, and some real-time messages as well. And in turn, Bottomline exposes this data on their cloud-based payments and cash management platform, so that the corporate's entitled users can easily view their statements using real-time dashboards and easy-to-use search functions. At the same time, the transaction data is loaded automatically into the ERP system, and that's usually after some automated data transformation in order to meet the ERP's format requirements, such as SAP iDocs or BA12 and so on. So Patrick, were there any other factors which made your implementation faster than other projects you've seen?
Yes, of course. The Bottomline payment and cash management solution is a highly standardized one, and many aspects come already pre-configured, which helps a lot. This has a really positive impact, obviously, on the implementation timelines because of the reduced complexity and the package nature of the solution. With its automated standard-based deployment, the client can start testing early. That was our case. And if required, the standard package can also then be easily adapted for every client's specific needs. And we did request some of those changes, and not bigger changes, very light changes. They came very quick. In fact, they were completed in just one day work, and it was really great. A platform has standard workflow, which can be modified easily by the system administrator through the cloud-based user interface, which is really state of the art. Once again, that's what we wanted to get, is full control of our system while still based on a cloud-based the platform. And on the training side, we just needed some limited training because the system is quite intuitive, and the system administrators now can add new banks, remove business units, add accounts. So, we didn't get any need for a very long training. The solution standards and environment comes with a lot of routing rules and standard formats. I'm not an expert, but like MT 940, 942, MT 101, the famous PAN 002, PAN 001, and whatsoever. All this means, in fact, is that Bottomline was able to take us through all the various project phases very quickly, from development, the quality test, the user acceptance test, and obviously then going live.
And for you, why did you find the Bottomline quick go live so valuable?
Well, once again, in fact, Bottomline has a very special approach. It's to divide the overall project into a series of small steps, and each steps, in fact, got their specific and measurable benefits. So during the project, we had weekly project management calls, and it was great to be able, in fact, to share our achievements, our weekly achievements, with my CEO and CFO. This means I was quickly able, in fact, to demonstrate to the executive team that we are getting really genuine value from the project. In other words, I like the quick win, and that was a quick win, really. It was very important because it helped to confirm my credibility as the new treasurer of the group, and also as a project manager. And it made it easier to show value for money. As soon as you complete one step of the project, if you are satisfied that you are getting tangible benefits, then you can move very quickly to the next phase. So again, it was a major advantage to divide the project scope into meaningful deliverables for each of the steps within a very short time frame. And this was done with a minimum of resources from our side. And most important, we avoided those terrible, never-ending projects which constantly miss deadlines and use more resources and more cash than originally planned.
Okay, and can you tell us why it was useful to quickly get visibility of your bank accounts? Do you consider cash visibility to be the treasurer's greatest pain point?
Well, yes, in fact, in many organizations, I think the answer is obviously yes. Cash flow is the lifeblood of any business, and it's essential for a treasurer to know how much cash I have, where it is, how can I easily move the funds from one place to another place. In fact, when I have an internal presentation, I always started with one slide, 3 words: cash is king. And also we are not a large corporate. We are a big corporate, but we are fast growing. Our geographical footprint means that we have quite a large number of banks and accounts. But I'm determined not to find myself in the situation which I faced in previous role when I remember the between quote good old time, I would call that bad old time, where I was traveling with 20 or more bank devices, tokens, to be able to access my bank account. And that was not such a long time ago. So a challenge which I believe almost all corporates have in the common is that we have hundreds, even thousands sometimes, of bank accounts and many banking relationships. So the practical reality of the situation is that many corporates, they still don't have the instant visibility of their bank balance or the control which they need to optimize working capital. Many treasury teams, they still rely too often on Excel spreadsheet and other manual processes for getting account balance information and for calculating their cash position just on a daily basis. Something that me today, I press on the button and I got that visibility, and I don't exaggerate. So this labor-intensive activities, if you don't have such a system, can be, error-prone and obviously lack security. It's difficult to maintain version control when you are using Excel tool. There is a high risk of making a mistake with some formulas. I mean, I like Excel, but I'm not a fan of Excel. But what we have now is, and what every organization should have as well should implement, that our banks send the empty nano 40 overnight and other daily intraday update to the Bottomline bits. It means that every morning, once again, I press on the button and I have the picture of my cash. It can be fully automated with the Bottomline statement manager, using empty nano 40 messages or ISO 20022 messages and whatever format. It's quite broad. By capturing all of your bank account and transaction data in one place, obviously you obtain an accurate picture of where your cash is and how much you owe today and in the near future. It's really a key activity for any treasurer. So automating this process was my priority number one, and it's a major win, saving money and time. It was certainly a great relief when we saw the first empty nano 40 coming through on our Bottomline platform when we were testing the system.
And what will your next steps be? Once you've got your all-important cash reporting in place, will you add payments capability, maybe using Bottomline's BIC, so that their Swift address?
Well, it's not a scoop, but yes, it's our goal. Bottomline is expecting its list of standard MT101 service level agreement with a number of banks, and that's one of the reasons why I like this solution. So this approach will provide another quick win for our high-value treasury payment with strong controls and security features. New names will be added quite quickly on our standard bank documentation. So it's really providing a cleaner solution.
So we all agree that most medium and large businesses have multiple bank relationships around the world, and so they're faced with using a wide range of payment and collection types. What's the best structure for a treasurer to manage all this efficiently and cost effectively?
Well, if you would have asked me the question a few years ago, my answer would be different. But now, for me, the best structure is a cloud-based payment hub. Why? Well, it's very important today to be independent as much as possible from your banks. The global financial crisis of 2008 show us all the importance of being able to switch cash balances and payment flows quickly from one bank to another, something that we were not able to do at the time. A payment hub gives you the flexibility, the flexible connectivity option to multiple banks and allows you basically to change this arrangement very quickly in case you need it. For me, this is preferable to being locked into a single bank e-banking platform.
Could we explore what are the main benefits and features of a cloud-based payment hub? Perhaps we could run through those benefits together.
Of course. Let me start. A payment hub gives a treasury team many benefits and features. For example, it must provide secure and standard interfaces to multiple banks, as well as internal systems like ERP and TMS if you have one. And it should also make it easy to standardize your processes for easier control and greater efficiency. Obviously, it must be scalable across the enterprise.
I'd add that it's important for a payment hub to ensure secure access to the system. So with robust internal controls, like clear segregation of duties, and the ability to establish transaction limits. You also need flexible entitlements and workflow, of course. These should be configured and controlled by systems administrators, two of whom should really be responsible for authorizing any modifications to those entitlements.
Yes, agree, Marcus, but obviously it's important that these systems administrators must not have any powers within the payment approval itself. They should be really SA, that's it, and that adjustment must allow multiple approval levels and hierarchies for different units, payment types, all easy to update with the necessary segregated approval workflow, of course.
I agree. And a payment hub must have multiple layers of security for access and payment approval. Multi-factor authentication is now really a must. You also need pan-enterprise visibility for the Treasury team, with segmented visibility by other units of their local and regional activity, and a full audit tracking of who does what and when. That's also vital.
Yeah. Well, it's also important for the payment hub to have some reformatting, mapping capabilities, with drill down, search feature to get information quickly, and as well as easy to use reporting capabilities, of course.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. I think that's a pretty comprehensive list of functionality for a payment hub. But what about real-time reporting? Does your payment hub allow you to monitor those payments in real time?
Yes, using the Payment Manager dashboard, we'll be able to consolidate data from multiple sources, such as bank status reports to confirm when payment instructions are received by the bank, when they're executed by the bank. And this information is all consolidated on a very easy to use dashboard. This allows real-time payment lifecycle monitoring, so you can monitor you can sort by region, bank, currency, business units with all the drill down capability that you need.
So once you have secure multi-bank connectivity and the ability to initiate and monitor Treasury payments, what's your next step? What about bulk payments?
Not 100% sure for now. We'll probably put in place the hybrid structure for bulk payments, small number of core banks. I think it would be more cost effective to use host to host or RBICs as an example, and then limit our use of the SWIFT for managing the Treasury payments and receiving the balances and the transaction data from the banks. Bottomline offers a number of connectivity options, so I have no worries on that side. We will have plenty of flexibility.
So talking of bank connectivity, what about using bank APIs for multi-bank connectivity? The media is full of stories about PSD2, open banking, and APIs. What sort of impact do you think they will have on corporate treasurers? And do you think PSD2 will in any way affect the way large corporates and mid-corporates interact with their banks?
Yes, I'm hearing a lot of noise about open banking and PSD2, and that this one will one day replace SWIFT. This hub reminds me about 10 years ago or so when we were talking about EBAM, the electronic bank accounts management system, and it was supposed to be adopted by all corporates within 1, 2 years, 3 years. 10 years after, we are still nowhere. not really anywhere. PSD2 might be a good solution maybe for SMEs, which have some local needs, but I think that I will be with hard for a long time before we see mid-sized and large corporates getting away from SWIFT to adopt fintech API solution for all their payments. Plus, for whatever reasons, banks are not exactly pushing hard for the APIs to be used by their clients. It's also important to mention that PSD2 is only effective today in the EU. So a number of other countries are only just starting to announce initiatives to encourage or to require the adoption of APIs for the secure exchange of banking data. But will it be at the same format as Europe? Will it be completely different formats for all those reasons? I think that it will be a long time before APIs can provide anything like the global coverage of multi-bank connectivity achievable via SWIFT.
So Patrick, a key question for you, is SWIFT too old-fashioned for corporate treasurers, as some fintech and blockchain payment firms are suggesting?
Well, SWIFT is not perfect, of course, but for a treasurer, SWIFT continues to be the best way to connect with 12,000 banks now, all around the world. So I don't know of any other network or connectivity offers to such a high level of global reach.
Okay, so do you think your company will eventually join SWIFT Score? That's the corporate scheme for connecting with multiple banks.
Not sure. I'm happy with Bottomline BICS, but when we feel we are ready, I think we may do. I'm not too worried again, because with Bottomline we have the complete flexibility. There are 3 service bureaus in London, Geneva, and Singapore. And with those bureaus, Bottomline has plenty of experience of helping corporates like us to join SWIFT and get their own BIC or SWIFT address. In fact, they have a number of ex-SWIFT employees who are well connected to their former colleagues, and that's always helping. I think that becoming a member of SWIFT Core is probably a logical step, which we may take at the right time. That is why I like Bottomline one step at a time approach, which ensure there are additional benefits at each stage of the journey. I hear from other treasurers that over 2,000 large corporate groups have already joined SCORE. SCORE is a corporate scheme for using SWIFT. That's probably about 100,000 legal entities who use SWIFT to streamline their payments and cash management. So many corporates continue to see the benefits of joining SWIFT. I don't think that will change in the near term, not even in the medium term.
Thanks, Patrick. So once you've got in place multi-bank payments and cash reporting, what other steps will your company take to manage your cash more efficiently?
Well, at the next step, it's a 2020 a project. We'll probably set up a cash pool structure, a cash concentration structure. This will enable us to consolidate excess of funds in accounts by a currency, and mainly GBP, USD, and Euro, and then optimize the return on investment we make on this credit balance. We'll forget the Euro for now. Cash concentration, in fact, also minimize any interest charges, obviously, on overdrawn account. So the Bottomline Cash Manager module will allow me to establish a set of rules for individual accounts. For example, at the end of each day, we can transfer any funds above a certain threshold to a cash pool account. The threshold can be 0 or some other reasonable, let's say, low figure. The system can be configured to automatically initiate this payment. Or alternatively, the system can simply propose a terminal set of payments to meet cash concentration objective, but the Treasury team need to intervene and go through a control payment approval workflow before payment instructions are released to the relevant bank. Some banks charge for their cash concentration service, so using the multi-bank cash manager is certainly cheaper than solution proposed by bank. And with a multi-bank platform, you can easily automate the process yourself, modify it at any time you like, and this enables you as well to rationalize your bank relationship and avoid, to be to avoid, let's say, over-reliance on any individual bank. This mitigates your bank counterparty risk.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrick. It's John again. I'm conscious of time, and I do like to leave a few minutes at the end. We have had some questions that I would like to ask, but I'm just going to quickly communicate the results of that first poll. What is the single most important factor in any digital treasury transformation decision? And the top three answers were 28% feature functionality, 20% fully automated in real time, and 17% integrated with our existing TMS or ERP, which I think is quite interesting given what you've just been talking about. I will defer launching the second poll in the interest of time, but I have a couple of questions that I want to ask now, if I may. The first is, are the reporting dashboards produced automatically by the Bottomline portal, or are they generated by Trillium's own in-house technology?
No, it's all coming from the Bottomline system. Okay, it's for now we are not interfacing the solution, the Bottomline solution with our ERP or TMS.
Okay, and a question on Swift, and I know we've spoken a little bit about Swift as well. Somebody's asked, what is the perceived drawback of joining Swift as a corporate?
Well, as you know, we didn't join Swift yet. It may be that we do it in the future. I don't think this year. We are quite happy with the solution provided by the Bottomline big services. But from what I know, the most important one is that first you need to be able to get your CSP approved, so your customer security program approved. It's not a small task, however. And then obviously as well you need to be able to get your some experts, some IT experts in-house. That's what I believe are preventing mid-sized corporates like ours to directly join the Swift even through their SCORE program.
Okay. I think we're going to talk a little bit about what you're calling glocalization. So perhaps I can ask you to do that and then perhaps think about the key takeaways from this session before we move into any other questions. Thanks very much, Marcus.
So coming back to our conversation on digital transformation and the steps that we've traced, what do you recommend treasurers do to reduce the cost and volume of cross-border payments? I like a term, maybe it's a new one, I should maybe get the patent of it, is glocalization of payment. Because this work combines local and global. An example would be converting cross-border payment into domestic ACH type of instrument by using disbursement and collection account located in those countries where the business has a high concentration of payments. Let me quickly explain what I mean. In fact, in many organizations, it's cross-border payment which causes the most headaches. Cross-border payments are traditionally regarded as complex, slow, opaque in terms of fees and processing. GPI is coming, but also there are some signs of improvement and new schemes coming to market. Historically, correspondent banks in the payment chain have been heavily criticized for charging high processing fees. Errors such as, such as an incorrect or missing beneficiary information or incomplete AML compliance details are, I think, the principal cause of delayed payment. Treasurers should therefore bear in mind that if there's many payments to a particular country, it is cost effective to open a local disbursement account in that particular country.
this disbursement account can be funded with a single cross-border payment from the head office to the overseas account, or for the aggregate value of all the payments to be made locally over a week or two. Once the funding is on the account in country, a file of domestic payment is then sent to the local bank in that country with instructions to make all these disbursements via ACH or potentially by local wire, depending on the urgency of such a payment. But these techniques will definitely be less costly than making an individual cross-border payment for each amount.
So there are numerous other topics we'd like to cover another day, of course, but I think we'll start to bring this presentation to a close. So I'd like to say a big thank you to Patrick for all his insights, and in trying to summarize the many topics that we've talked about, I think I'd show our top 3 tips for a kind of successful and rapid digital transformation would be start simple and small. For example, our statement manager and BIC as a service to get up and running with a quick win. Then expand and roll out in a controlled way. For example, using payment manager with a real-time dashboard and multi-connectivity options to streamline first treasury payments and then bulk payments at a later phase. And finally, rationalize and automate. So use something like Cash Manager to concentrate cash, manage short-term liquidity, and optimize working capital. So in the few minutes that remain, Patrick and I would be happy to answer any further questions, of course. I'll hand back to you, John.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. Thank you very much indeed, Marcus. Interesting presentation, and as you said, I know you had a couple of other things that you wanted to cover, such as Swift GPI and risk and compliance. But for those in our audience who want to view the presentation after the live event, all of these slides will be available, as will this recording. If any of you wish to log a question now, please feel free to do so. I have a couple of questions that perhaps link back to one of the results of the first poll. And my question is, many Treasury departments have already invested in TMS and or ERP systems. So Marcus, how does the Bottomline digital transformation platform integrate with these systems?
Yeah, certainly, that's a good question. Integration is, of course, an important aspect of any payments and cash management solution, and we've got a lot of experience in that area. The customer's treasury management system and ERP are probably the most 2 typical tools that we do integrate with. In some scenarios, APIs are available, in which case we're very happy to use them. If not available, then we'd use a whole range of other integration tools, secure file transfer protocol, leased lines, MQ. So we're very flexible on integration, and it is an important aspect. Data transformation is usually also needed to achieve that integration and get the systems talking. That again is an area where we've got plenty of practical expertise. So old formats, new formats, we're well placed to help customers with the major industry migration to ISO 20022, which is going on around the world right now.
Mm-hmm. And perhaps a question for you, Patrick. At the opening of this event, Marcus mentioned you'd chosen Bottomline on 2 occasions. So obviously they're doing something correct. But is there anything that, looking back with the benefit of hindsight, you will have done any differently? And if so, why?
That's a tricky question. I have my friends of Bottomline with me here. But I would probably say that, we are a little bit late in the project, in the development of the payment hub, but that's not at all the fault of Bottomline, of course. It's our fault or internal fault. I would say that no, I don't think that I will have done anything differently. I mean, I've been done twice. Okay, so if I would be crazy to do it differently a third time.
Excellent. And again to Patrick, what do you feel are the real key 2 or 3 takeaways from this webinar? What would you like to leave our audience with?
I'm not convincing guys. I mean, I'm a convinced guy, so difficult for me. But probably, I mean, you know, the 3 ones that Marcus presented are probably very a good one. But I would say don't try to use a big TMS systems for connectivity. Okay, I mean, you need dedicated systems for the connectivity. Let's do with the expert. It's quite a complex. You know, it's not just blocking two cables, one with the bank and one with your TMS system. I would also say check what is the gap between what you have and what are your goals, and you will see that the gap is really the bank connectivity. I mean, yeah, those would basically be my advices.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, as I said earlier, the slides from today and today's recording will be circulated following today's event. Thank you very much indeed, Marcus and Patrick. This webinar is now closed. Thank you.